interest even more to see what the distinction was.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe I could qualify myself.
right. Separate jail, separate courses.
It's more of a cushy deal. And good. It's not St. Patty's Day yet, but it looks like you're coordinating, which is good. Good.
Oh,
Did you call each other this morning or no?
That's just,
It was just coincidence?
it's kind of on the
My
same
God.
page that we are.
That's kind of scary. One of you has to retire because if you're
Thank
getting
you.
if you're
See
dressing
ya.
the same. All right. Good morning, everybody. Let me just open up the meeting. It is Friday, February 9th. This is the City of Syracuse Board of Assessment Review. And if we could just take a roll call. My name is Joe Saya.
Sue Straub.
Earl Masterful. Michael Gavinies.
Donna Moore.
Okay, thank you for that. I just want to remind everybody that these meetings are live, if you will, and recorded. So just want to make you aware of that prior to coming up. And so I think you gave me these folders here, two properties that I think we've seen before. Would that be you? Okay, come on up and have a seat. There's, I'm going to swear you in, but there's 808 South Krause Ave and 739 Irving Ave. You want them read in any particular order?
I think it makes the most sense to start with 739 Irving Ave.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
And are these a part of the same scenario? Should they be read in together or separately?
I think together they're both owned by the same entity, Syracuse MOB LLC, and the two properties are, one is a medical office building. It's the Krause Medical Center, and then the parking garage. That
that's what I thought. Okay, yeah, based on that, I think we should read them in together. Just as a practice, what we've been doing is swearing in the assessors as well at the beginning, if that's acceptable. So if everybody could raise your right hand, state your name for the record.
Nolan Kokoris of Bonchana King.
Ian Gallagher.
Matt O.J.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Okay, thank you. Matter of procedure there, but, okay, so let me read in 739, I think you said first, but we're gonna read them in together. All right, let me just, find the petition here. Okay, so 739 Irving Ave. Is this the commercial office building?
Yes, this is the medical office building.
Medical office building, okay. We've got a current tentative total assessment, and let me just make sure that matches up correctly, of $13,570,000. Do we have a land value on this? Not critical, but, okay. All right, we can get that. That would equate to a full market value of $21,712,000. And the petitioner believes the fair market value is $2 million. Okay, let's see, got a little discrepancy here. On the application, $2,103,875.97. So we'll go with what's on the application. Let me make a note of that. Which would bring the claimed assessed value $1,357,000 we'll have to adjust that a little bit. Can I get a assessed value on,
What was that?
well, off of these numbers here, it's a little different than what was on the sheet, 171. I need an assessed value on 2,103,875. Anybody want to figure that?
So you're reading off the sheet and not the grievance?
Oh, I'm trying to match up the grievance with the sheet.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm correcting the sheet, because I think going off the grievance form is the way to go.
Right.
2,103,875.97, if you like. Yes, 2,103,875.97.
1,357,000.
Oh, okay. It is, that's what's on the sheet, and it just had a different claimed market value on the sheet, so I thought it was going to be different. All right, so 1,357,000. Very good. Okay, let me just go ahead and read the other one in, and then I will turn it over to you. 808 South Kraus Ave. Let me just find the petition. Okay. So probably no land value on this also, which is fine. Okay. So, current tentative assessed value, $5,700,000. That would equate to a market value of $9,120,000. The petitioner believes the fair market value is $883,720.93. If we could just check that, because it is different than what's on the sheet. So once again, $883,720.93. Just need the assessed value. $883,720.93, or thereabouts. $552,325.58. Okay. So that is a little different than what we have on the sheet here. Okay. And this is the adjoining garage?
That's correct.
Yes. So they are attached?
Yes, I
Yes.
believe so.
Okay. Okay, fair enough, and I will turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. So starting with the 739 Irving Ave, as I mentioned, it's the medical office building operated as the Krause Medical Center. It's got approximately 111,634 square feet on a lot of about half an acre, 0.46 acres specifically. The current assessed value of the property is $13,570,000. The medical office building has a number of gross leases, 28 units in total, I believe. As of January 1st of this year, 25 of the units are occupied, 3 are vacant. And that's one more vacancy than the previous years reflected in the rent rolls that were submitted to the board. And this property, the basis of our claim of overassessment is that the expenses of the property are continuing to rise, and with a number of the gross leases expiring, the expenses for the facility are expected to outpace the income and the increase in fair market value on the assessment over the past year. So since 2018, the fair market value has increased 23%, give or take, and the income for
Would that be assessed value?
the equivalent fair market value of the property. So meanwhile, the financials for the property have stayed fairly consistent.
That's the city's problem, as far as the expenses are concerned?
Well, it's a problem because
Or I should say, the lack of renting and all that good stuff, what does that have to do with the city?
well, because the valuation of this property, it's an income-producing property, so the valuation should take into account the expenses of the property and the occupancy rates. If there's vacancies, then the assessment should be reduced.
So the vacancy rate is 11%. That's equal to the national average. So as far as a vacancy standpoint, I think you're on point with the rest of the world. World meaning United States, and office, specifically medical office use. Could you provide, if it's a basis of operating expenses and rental increases, could you provide an NOI schedule?
Yeah, I believe so. And we did submit the income and expense statements for the past 3 years, I believe. And one thing I do want to draw your attention to is we also provided the rent rolls for the same period. And when you look through at the leases, you can see that a number of the leases for the 2021 and 2022 years were set to expire, and as of this year, they've been modified to extend further. But this year, the owners do expect to have the base rates in those leases reset, and so that impacts the expenses to the owners of the property. Yes. So my understanding for these gross leases is that they operate on a increasing base rate over the duration of the lease. So with the leases resetting, it would go back down with the expectation that for the new term there would be a rate schedule where the rents would increase gradually. So there's no guarantee that those rents are going to stay where they are now. At the end of the lease term where they're at the highest level that they could, but that's not what the property owners anticipate.
I'll come back to you.
Sure, yeah. I have nothing else to add at this time.
We certainly want to add that this is property that's been in litigation for 5 or 6 years.
I was going to ask that initially.
And to the extent that we're concerned about prospective income or expense considerations, we're really only concerned about January 1st current use on tax status state. Comfortable with the numbers there. And it's got the bulk of the rest of our data.
There's numerous medical office sales support.
Gave us a bunch of financial information that we'll look at, but any comparable sales on your part?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, so the city submitted some comparable sales with pricing, dates, and scope. Okay. And then this is in fact in litigation.
I just add that, you know, while the comparable sales are relevant as an income-producing property, I think the much more impactful indicator of the value is the operating financials of the property. That's all I'd add.
Anybody else, anything else you want to add? Anything else that you want to request as far as information is concerned?
No, I think if we've got the rent rolls and the NOI schedule, that should be sufficient enough at this point.
Right, and we'll analyze
I assume the condition of the property is operable, meaning it has 25 tenants and they're all satisfied with condition.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so we will take a look at everything you submitted, as well as the city, and then the city will send you two separate notices to the property owner just after 8. Okay? Thank you very much for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Should we move to the 808 South Kraus Ave?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the
okay,
second.
Yep, sorry. I read them both in,
wanna
and
speed
I
it along,
figured,
that's
well,
okay.
yeah, are you done? Sorry about that. Yep.
Thanks.
My apologies.
Oh, that's okay. So moving on to the second property, 808 South Kraus Ave. That's the parking garage that serves the medical office building. It's owner-operated, no current leases or rentals on this parcel. And I believe it's a 180,480 square foot facility on 0.81 acres. And this property in particular was the revenues from the operation saw a steep decline during COVID, and since then the financials have gone down, and we've analyzed that and attribute that to increasing expenses and changes in market. Specifically, a lot more people coming into the medical office building are relying on ride-sharing apps, not using the facility. So if you look at the income and expense statements, 2023 is actually a decrease in terms of net operating income over the previous year, and it's on par with what the facility was at during COVID in 2020, 2021. So this property in particular, we feel that it's not as profitable as it once was, and you know, as its assessment continues to go up, or I should say the fair market value based on the assessment continues to go up, it's only going to create a larger and larger gap between what the true value of the property is and its assessed value.
I don't know about the ride-sharing scenario, but I'll leave that up to better minds. What do they charge as far as the parking is concerned?
I believe it's based on the duration of stay. I don't have the exact figures, but I'd be happy to provide
see
those. Sure.
Yep. That could be a reason.
Yeah, I can obtain that information.
Okay, any questions?
Yeah, if you're just able to provide, do we have the NOI schedule for this property as well?
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll just need, I'm assuming to have an entryway counter, number of spaces total within the garage, as well as average occupancy over, let's say, a 12 to 24-month period. Given that they have that system, but you know, most garages, especially connected to a hospital, would have that.
Okay. Yeah, I can certainly get that information.
That'll be good. When do you think you can have that
I can get it as soon as possible. I'm not sure, you know, what the responsiveness of the owner is, but
So normally we allow until the end of, okay. So I would say by March 1st.
okay, we can certainly make that happen.
At this point, that is, actually, let's make it February 29th. At this point, that or March 1st is the last day that we're holding hearings, so we'll accept information up until that point. So let's say the last week of February would be good to try to get it in. Decision.
Absolutely.
That should be enough time. Okay, anything else? Let me go over to the city.
We do have the amount of spaces is 375. That's, I believe that's accurate. Other than that, since it is litigation, I'm just gonna,
This is in litigation
Also, yeah,
also.
so-
But yeah, Mike, that would be good, good information.
it's different. But that's on our records.
We'll confirm that.
Frequenting the building.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause that'll give us an idea. Okay, that sounds good. So that's it on the city side. Anything else you want to add?
Nothing else to add.
Okay. Well, now are you done?
Now I'm done.
All right.
Yep.
Jeez. No, just kidding with you. Thank you very much for coming in, and a lot of information. We will analyze yours as well as the city, and then we'll come up with a couple of decisions, and they'll send to the property owner.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
you.
Have a good weekend.
Good to see you.
Thanks.
One 16 South McBride. How are you?
I'm doing well.
How are you? Doing well. You already started off on a bad foot. Because you know Carl. But that's all right. We
We haven't talked in a long time.
yeah, that's it. Distance yourself. All right.
I went to CPA, he went to Leaden.
Oh, God. Well, no, now, yeah,
CBA boy over here.
yes.
I was with his dad last night,
Okay.
but that's another story.
Yeah, all right, absolutely.
The lot is just a small vacant lot, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna swear you in, read in the information, and then we'll go from there. So if you could raise your right hand, state your name for the record. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay. So let me just read it in, and then we'll take it from there. 116 South McBride Street. Let me just get the petition out. Did you say this is a vacant lot?
Yep, that's property class billboard.
Okay. So parking lot and billboard, let me just confirm, current tentative assessment of $140,000 for the land value of $115,000. That would be a market value of $224,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $195,000, which would equate to an assessed value of $121,875. Let me just see if I can pick anything out here. Looks like it was purchased in May 29th of 2015 for $90,000. Cash deal. It was offered through a broker. Asking price was $195,000. Okay, I'm sorry. So that wasn't, okay. So April 30th of 2023, asking price $195,000. So let's go back. Okay. So I believe that the fair market value is in fact what you're asking. The last couple questions on that in a minute, but let me turn it over to you.
I don't think the property's worth $195,000. it's a lot that really has no value by itself. And we've actually offered it to some other people, like the building next door, that Dennis to extend his lot for $150,000. Not interested. But since we're listing it for $195, it's been out there for 8 months, and we've had absolutely no interest. I think at a minimum, we should be able to lower the market from 240 to $195.
Well, and when you say it's listed, where's it listed? Who's,
Through Josh Podkaminer. There's, in the record, there's a picture of the sign that he's put out there. He's reached out to a couple of the people that have space right near there. There's a sign.
is it in the MLS, or what's the, you say he's reached out to a couple people in 8 months. What's he doing?
And I do know they put the sign up, and he's reached out to Syracuse Parking Services, SBS, and the person next door. That's all. I'm not sure if it's on, it's not on MLS, but I'm not sure if it's on.
Yeah, Joe, I think, so commercially he's not obligated to put on the MLS.
No, I
do believe
understand
it's
that.
on.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
how's it been marketed
I
over?
believe it's on LoopNet, Crexy, two sources that are free to use, open listings.
Anything else you want to add? I'll come back to you.
We do have some information I didn't submit in the record when I approached Matt Paulus about selling the lot for $125,000. And he decided that it wasn't worth that because they weren't able to put the amount of parking spots that they needed.
We've got cheat sheets in the board's folder. Just background, this was assessed, because the property class code was 474. This was a billboard, but we had no value on the billboard prior to this. So this was just a correction of that, added, I believe, $9,000 to the assessment to capture a small one-sided, but double billboard on the site. No change to the land value. It's just part of the block-wide reassessment, and we captured the inventory lapse there. Got sales there, we think back up the unit value of the land. Billboard, obviously, a little more subjective, but we're comfortable with that too. Interested in the marketing concern. I think we'd like to learn a little more about that, but based on market data, at least, we're comfortable.
And you might have already said it, but I don't think so. Income off of that billboard?
It's included $1,400 a year, and that's been going on since the Smith Restaurant Supply business, which owned the lot, had a contract with Lamar. I've called them a couple times to renegotiate. They said, given the traffic
It's in here.
I don't know. I can forward the contract. It's a simple one-page.
Yeah, if you would.
It's Lamar's stock contract, and it's just on sort of a year-to-year basis or something close to that.
Exactly.
We're familiar with that.
Okay. Do you need me to provide that then?
It's up to you.
Well, we wouldn't mind having a look, sure.
All right, yeah, that would be good if you could. And, yeah, then I've got income and expense. I do have that information, so, yeah, just the agreement would be good. Okay. Anything else you want to add?
My understanding was it was being assessed as if it were a parking lot.
Oh, boy. I'll definitely defer to my professional better half over here as to the propriety of property class code and primary use. And this is a funny one, because I think we did get caught with a little inventory error here, and maybe we didn't adequately set that right with the class code. Primary use arguably is parking, especially based on the revenue that you've provided. Why we still have it as a 474 could be my oversight.
But the 1,400 a year is the income from the billboard itself. So is it currently rented for parking at all?
I think like 3 or 4 cars a month. We were up to about 10 pre-COVID.
So the people in Smith is it rented to the
No,
tenants
it's
in
people who work
Smith?
downtown.
Okay.
And just benefit from a lower rate on the periphery there than they might at a closer block.
And there's a lot right next adjacent to it as well.
That's right.
They do the same.
And
It's
both-
managed by Syracuse Parking
Both
Services.
SPS, that's right. Yeah, I guess we should have a look at the inventory,
Yeah,
just to
we'll-
make sure
we'll-
it's exactly right.
We'll review it, but, I mean, there is the billboard income, so primary use, 4 cars versus, you know, a bill,
Yeah.
but
At-
how
at-
many, do you know how many spots are available if you,
Right now, without any lines or anything like
Right.
that, I think we could probably put about 20, be a little tight. But if, according to this Matt Paulus, that he was looking to take down the billboard and making it a 24-spot lot. And he said, given the rules of the city and the fact that it wasn't a parking lot prior, that they would not be able to get 24 spots. That was his goal by removing the
That's good, Ben. And you purchased it from Mr. Cooperman prior to Matt's purchase of the Smith building.
We purchased it to support our building that we had at on Fayette Street.
Oh, okay. That's 511?
That we ended up selling to.
Where's the circle? It's from that perspective.
We're actually on Genesee and Town. In the old Bank of America building. That's where we are.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks. That helps.
New York State hasn't knocked on your door yet, as far as offering anything or saying you're in the, you know,
Regarding
appropriation or
5981?
anything like that yet?
No, and one of the reasons why I'm at least listing it at 195 is the end of using it for staging,
Got it.
which is probably the most valuable use right now, staging. Otherwise, I'd probably ask for lots.
Yeah, no, at this point, okay, I get that. Okay, you're all set then, nothing
Want
else
to
to
see
add?
the Lamar contract?
Could we? Yeah, and we'll just do a little more, this helps inform our thinking, but we'll analyze this a little more. And I don't think we're rabidly defending our number right now.
If you know somebody wants them. You know, part- But it's probably the most value is piecing it together with the other lots.
I tend to think so. Yeah, my first call would have been to Matt. So,
And which was ours back in 2020.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much,
Time.
yes.
Carl, nice to see you.
And we'll send, city will send a notice first week of April. Thank you.
If you want to come over, I'll give you my email. You can send it directly to me.
All right, let's see here. 2002? Yes. How are you? Good. Good morning, how are you? Good, good. Full disclosure, this is one of my wonderful cousins, Marty Marola.
One of the better ones.
Yes, there's not many of them, that's for sure. But anyway, don't hold that against me, not him.
Or me.
Okay, so 3002 Bernard Ave. Let me swear you in, and then I'll read it in, and then I'll turn it over to you. So if you can raise your right hand. State your name for the record.
Martin Marola.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Okay. All right, so 3002 Burnett Avenue. This is a 21,000 square foot building in poor condition, commercial building. So let me just match up the numbers here. Looks like the current tentative assessed value is 305,000, which would equate to a market value of 488,000. Land value of that is 175,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is 250,000, which would be a assessed value of $156,250. And property is currently, it looks like, for sale for over a year. Crexie Brokerage Community asking $395,000. Okay.
The building has been vacant for a long time, other than the share of plumbing there in the one space. Originally, it was, I guess, Stickley Factory back in the early 1900s. The owner's father had re-blocked the whole exterior many years ago, probably in the late 70s or 80s. Roof is terrible. Some of the floors on the inside are falling in. It's loaded with junk. I've had quite a bit of activity on buyers, but, you know, no one wants to even, I've been telling them 250, take 250, take 200. You know, it's 2 acres, but it's not very deep, okay?
I'm familiar with Vichera's.
Got that little front space, that's it.
Yep. And so is there any more frontage or just them? As
Well,
far
there's
as
frontage as you go along, but it's all junk, full of junk. The
okay.
building's full of junk.
And how many? I know it's just Vichera's, but what other units? How many other units?
There's nothing. I mean, well, they got one space to the right with the, way to the right, that section of building that is just loaded with stuff. It's an old office space, but nothing is habitable at this point.
Yeah,
And if he doesn't do something with the roof soon, that's gonna be the end of that. And even at the 250, the problem is this, I mean, go tear that building down, it's gonna cost you 500 grand. Okay, so it costs you 500 grand, you pay they got 750 into 2 acres on Bernard Ave? I don't know, it sounds like a lot to me. Well, you know, the sign, he's only getting 5 grand a year or something like that.
Is there a billboard behind
There's
it?
a billboard
Yeah,
behind.
on 690, or visible from?
No, the building's been, you know, all marked up with graffiti now.
Are there, from a demo standpoint, is there a lot of remediation that has to take place prior?
I would say probably based on the age of that building, there was no hot water system or anything like that with boilers. The roof, I'm sure some of the roofing is hot. Other than that, there has been no asbestos,
Okay. All right.
not until someone tries to buy it. I've had a few buyers in the 200 range, a couple offers, 200. But terms, so that's not great. Goes a lot of money in taxes.
Not as of yet, but we do ask that, and so we'll get into that in a second. Okay, let me go over to the city in back taxes. Okay.
Is there, I'm asking this because I live around the corner. Are those people still living in the RV in the back?
Geez, I hope not. I don't
Because
know. I mean,
the neighbors say they are.
they probably are. You know,
Okay.
I can't, the owners, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, we're,
I mean, call the cops.
yeah,
That's all I
we'll
can say.
agree that it's in tough shape. You know, the 46,000 in unpaid taxes, again. Would you take 200 and have the back taxes paid off out of the 200 or in addition to the 200? You know, if,
I think at this point, I mean, I've told them, I said, you gotta find that money for the taxes or they're gonna take the property, or we'll make an agreement with them of some sort, and I've been telling him that for several months. Has he done anything? I don't know, obviously not. But I guess I told him, I said, you know, the first thing we need to do is get the assessment down, you know, because, you know, it just doesn't make sense for somebody to buy it with a high assessment and pay a lot of taxes right off the bat. So, I'm trying to do what I can do with him, you know, as you know, he was a family friend forever, and, you know, but Mark is Mark, that's the end of that. So, I'm not sure I could just say no to anybody, so.
he is authorized to appear on that.
Let's check. Yes. Yes. Signed on 1/17/24, 1/20/24.
Again, do you know if he's got a solid plan to catch up on those taxes, or at least make a
I
You
keep
don't
telling him, you know, go get the money and pay it. I mean, I guess he's got the money. I don't know. Okay, well, he's gotta do something, obviously. Make some kind of payment plan or something.
Mark owns it or the father?
Oh, Mark's father passed away.
Did the father pass
Yeah,
away?
Yeah, a few years ago.
Okay.
Who's the father,
Did not know
Francis?
that.
Francis
Must
is
be
the father.
Francis was the father,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, yeah, all right.
But I'm gonna do my best to get someone to buy it and something to pay the taxes, because you don't wanna take that property.
No, they, city
Costs
doesn't
you
wanna
50
take
grand just to
anything.
dump the stuff that's inside. It's so packed with junk. Disaster.
If something happens, like you say, you know, maybe if he decides something in the next 3 weeks, say by the first, to pay it or come in and make an agreement, I would say let you guys know that,
Okay,
and maybe we can talk a little bit. It's hard to-
yeah, so that is you and I probably haven't had this conversation, but you are my cousin. However, that's a real stickler with me as far as negotiating assessment when there's outstanding taxes.
Well, I don't disagree with you, and that's why I've been telling him
That's
for
the bothers
months
me.
to pay it.
Yeah,
You know, but I guess on the other side of the coin, on his side, I mean, it's been overassessed for all these years, and it's his own fault for not, you know, fighting it. And that's the end of the day.
yeah, so there is that argument, or can be that argument, I guess, so, I guess, you know, to follow on what Ann's saying, is if, you know, he can come forward with, some tax money and/or a tax trust, is that what they call it? You know, tell him to come down and do something while we're in session here, and then, you know, it'll be looked at in a better light,
I would think so.
Has he ever thought about breaking off the lot to the west?
I've thought about it. I've tried.
Right.
Again, I mean, you know, they're interesting lots because they're not deep.
Right.
Okay, you've got about 90 feet and then it,
Right.
so how big of a building can you really put there? You know, you really need both acres to go across and thin, you know, and that's what I'm working towards, you know, a type of retail that would work for that.
Got it.
all right. Anything else you wanna add then, Joe? Okay, anything else you wanna add?
That's it. No, thank you for your time.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming in. Always a pleasure. And we'll, the city will send you a notice first week of April. Good.
Thank you again. Have a
Hey,
wonderful day and enjoy the spring weather.
Yes. It was beautiful when I came
Unbelievable.
out this morning. My
Almost 60
God.
degrees.
Good to see you. Okay. The sheriff plumbing. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah. I only know that because I had to go over and get something.
Yeah, I know. It's probably the only part where the roof isn't falling down.
Yeah. No, you're fine, you're fine.
Which property?
I'm here for 1405 East Genesee.
1405, yes. You want to have a seat?
Morning.
Thanks for allowing a 10 o'clock appointment. I traveled from Buffalo, so you never know what you're going to get this time of year.
Oh, yes, well, actually.
It's a beautiful
It's
one.
a beautiful day. Yes.
Just sign right
Oh,
next to
thank
the
you.
X.
I know, I thought about that today. I was like, when's the last time that we didn't have snow in Buffalo or Syracuse, right? It's amazing. Just give me a minute if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, take your
You
time.
must be the assessor?
Yes,
Oh,
hi,
my
Matt.
God. Matt, nice to meet you. I was just talking to Jason's show.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just emailed Jason last night.
Yeah.
He's been helping us a lot as we get a little closer to a revale.
Yeah, so have you slated for what year is your revale?
We don't know. But we're talking.
Well, I
We
think
want to visit him.
Yeah, we've got a field trip to Buffalo planned in the next
well,
few
they did,
weeks.
is in 19, right? But it was almost a 2-year process. And then, so their E-grade had to change, right?
Dramatically.
Dramatically. And then it's really dropped, just like in the city of Syracuse.
20 points in the last year, right?
Yeah, it's just been crazy.
They went from 90 to 70 in a year, I believe.
No, they moved down, like, I think when they did the reval, they went down, I think they were like 88.9 of value when they finally rolled it out in
Yep.
19.
Post
You
19.
do? And then from there to here, they're now at 61.5.
Yeah.
So,
It's been a process.
yeah, and just, they computer digitalized all their records, so that took forever, so.
They've got the right system in place now. Now they just
Yeah.
need time to let everything smooth out.
I was driving in this morning, and I did
Which property are we looking at first?
I think we're comfortable leading with Genesee, just because that's in sequential order.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm happy to do whatever.
just gonna put down the names of all the board members, if you don't mind.
oh, sure. Okay, so if the petitioner doesn't object, then 1405 Genesee Street, we're gonna take care of first.
Mr. Vavanese, do you have a brother that lives in Buffalo that's a lawyer?
I've got several people, yeah. Frankie.
Yeah,
yep.
Frank, yeah, he lives around the corner from me.
Gotcha, okay, yeah.
I
Billy-
saw the name.
Billy's a friend of mine as well.
Oh, Billy Pellegrini?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good man. I was just talking to him
Very good.
the other day. Small world. Buffalo.
Yes, for sure.
I used to live on Swan Street downtown.
Oh, really?
The Hum building, which is a Schneider property.
Right, yeah. Is that the one right at Swan and almost like the Elm Oak Arterial?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
You go to,
No, I went to Canisius. Yeah.
I have 3 boys, and they all went to the Jesuit high school, so. Well, one's gonna be a freshman, so he's, hopefully he let my other boys didn't leave a fire in the path.
That's how it goes.
Okay, if I could, I guess we're gonna talk about 1405 Genesee Street first. If I could just swear you in, that'd be great. And whenever you're ready, if you just state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Sheila, middle initial Q, last name Weimer, Weimer.
Okay. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
So help me God.
Great. Thank you very much. So let me just read in 1405 Genesee Street, and then, okay. Once again, 1405 Genesee Street. This is a commercial building improved by one small, one-story retail building having approximately 7,257 square feet of gross floor area. Just to match up the numbers. Yes. We've got a current tentative assessment of 585,000 with a land value of 100,000. That would equate to a fair market value of 936,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is 625,000, which would equate to an assessed value of 390,625. Just see if I pull anything off the petition that's okay. She's got authorization to speak. Okay, I'm all set.
Yes, well, first of all, the board requested additional documentation. Was it received? It was sent by FedEx?
I sure
Pursuant
haven't
to
seen
a
it.
letter of January 24th, 2024?
Nothing on our end yet.
I see. It was certified mail, oh, FedEx. Federal Express, I think it was. It was Federal Express. I have the receipt number. It was shipped and delivered, I had delivery confirmation on Monday to the city assessor's office.
And what was it dated?
It was, my letter was dated February 3rd.
See if I can find it. There is, you know, a bunch of different things. Although usually they put, I don't see anything with February 3rd. I've got it January 25th. I've got it January 25th. Okay, just in case. it was put in
Sometimes
here.
there'll be, the delivery was made at, I think they said at 10 a.m. to the Department of Assessment.
Okay, I do have the
Office.
February 3rd here, okay.
Oh, now I don't have to give you my only copy. I mean, I have one at home, but.
Yeah, I think that there's probably one.
Yes, there should be one for both properties, 1405 and 512.
All right, I'll look for the 1405 here, but go ahead and proceed.
Okay, so obviously this property is as the, I'm guessing that you're the commissioner or the chairman of the board, has read into the record. This was a former Rite Aid pharmacy. It was built in 1990 when they made their prototypical 7,000 square foot stores. It's on the corner of Pine and Genesee. I think it's the northeast corner of Pine and Genesee. This property was an operating pharmacy until about 2000. In 2000, the ownership received a letter from the tenant that they were exercising their option not to renew their lease. The tenant and the landlord then negotiated a significant reduction in the rent on that property to about $7 a square foot. They maintained that, and percentage rent, a small percentage rent, which I did provide in response to the city's Board of Directors, Board of Assessment Review demand. I did provide a copy of an income and expense statement on the property and rent rolls for the last 3 years. What you'll see is that the rent significantly diminished during that period. And then in April of 2003, they went dark. They closed their store completely. And as part of the terms of an amendment to the lease, the rental went up. What they did is obviously you eliminate your percentage rent because you're generating no rent, percentage rent from there. So the rent went up to about $9.89 a square foot. So the pro forma on that, which I did not submit, but can speak to, roughly generates, it will generate until June of 2025, a rental of $70,000 a year. The tenant's responsible for the real estate tax component of that. So there'll be minimal operating expenses on that property. And in using the income and expense statement that was presented and certified to by the accounting department of Ellicott Development Company, who are the management and operating entity for many of these corporations, I came up with an NOI of $55,418. I put a 9% cap rate on that, which gave me a value of about $615,000 of value to this property. I'd like to speak to the request for additional documentation that the board requested and what my responses were. So I did provide a certified copy for the last 3 years of the income and expense statement. We objected to providing the tax returns. This is a multifaceted corporation. The information provided in the income and expense statement is specific to this property. There's no additional information in the state and the federal or state tax returns that would be relevant to this particular property, given their number of holdings. So, we want to be forthcoming with you. We're looking to be reasonable on our evaluation of this property. I recognize I drove over to the property today. It's 0.6 miles from Syracuse University, and I'm familiar with the redevelopment they're doing over there. They've got two, the Hub, I think, is one, and or the Peak is one, and what's the new one?
Coda and
Coda.
the other one.
Yeah. So, we do recognize it's a redevelopment, and they're redeveloping the other intersection. The northwest corner of Pine and Genesee is being redeveloped. I think they're in the process of doing some demolition and site work on that property. But for a for a commercial piece, it's a very tough area. really it has not been successful, obviously, for the tenant that was occupying that space, and there has been no interest that has been generated on this property for retail space. So while there may be value for moving forward, the tenant is locked into their lease until 2025, and if they thought that they could generate an income or a tenant would come in, they would certainly look to discuss it with the owners about potential reuse for the property, or they would sublease it out to try to minimize, their costs, operating costs on that. We know the pharmacy business has changed significantly over the last 20 years, but there's been no interest in this property. It's vacant. It's maintained by the owners, but we're looking for some relief. It's $936,000. I think the real estate taxes are roughly $24,000 on that property. So, bringing in a lower, even if we're able to bring in a tenant after 2025, I don't know. It's going to be a dollar store or a lower income generating triple net lease. So, they'll be responsible for that. We have no current appraisals on the property. There's no current sales on this property. It's not listed for sale. It's marketed through Ellicott Development Company, as they do all of their properties. I provided a retainer agreement. There's been nominal maintenance to the property. One, repair to the roof for $421. And I provided a copy of the rent roll and a lease summary, a redacted lease summary. So no mortgage on the property and no environmentals.
Information in both files. Anything you want to add before we go over to the city? I'll come back to you.
No. Yeah, I want the right for rebuttal.
That was thorough. Are you going to stick around and represent some other grievance today?
We're doing this a long time. And the ownership, we want to work with these cities and municipalities. This isn't the only city that I go to or town. We're trying to be very forthcoming about this property, that it's just, you can drive by it today. It's dark, and it's not generating, we'd like a reuse, but we know that the opportunity to do that, we really need some help from the city to bring that value down. And at $9 a square foot, or roughly $9.89, I think, is the square foot rate, we think that the request is reasonable and justified.
Cheat sheets in the board's folder, but this is all new to us, not having seen what was provided, so we'll analyze this internally.
We'd like to do that.
Okay, that sounds good. It appears that we're good here. We could move on to the next one then.
Has it been offered for release? I know it's
No,
posted on Ellicott's website
it's
as they do as part of the
Right,
portfolio.
they post it, but, really the opportunity to sublease would really come from the tenant. I mean, they're on the hook for the rental till the end of the term. So, while we were willing to work with our tenancies and our longstanding relationships with our tenants, we won't typically, if someone comes and approaches us, we will approach the tenant. But as any good
Prior to 2025,
right.
yeah.
Well, as any good business owner would do, you wouldn't give up a bird in the hand for, two in the bush, right? Like if you have a rental that's there, if they are looking to buy out or they're looking for help, we obviously will help them through that process, but we can't guarantee, we can't just let them out of lease.
So you won't market for lease until their
Right.
expiration.
But they may may have it on their inventory. They may be looking to sublease it because they want to bring down their costs, right, on a vacant building. So I think it's a reasonable model for business. So I would support that. And if I was a lawyer, which I am, I would say, well, why would you just let them out of the lease, under those obligations? But they were prepared to leave in 2020. So that's why the rental dipped so significantly. And the lease summary will show that.
So they had a termination clause.
Yeah, they terminated under the term of their natural term of their lease. This was built in 1990, so by 2020, they had already exercised their first option on a 15-year lease, and they were ready to terminate. So the landlord worked with them
But
to,
they had a guarantee until 2025,
right, but
under
they,
different terms.
right, under significantly reduced terms. Another 5-year term is what they gave.
Yep.
With that, we'll move on to 512 West Onondaga Street. This is a vacant commercial property improved by one-story retail building having approximately 11,186 square feet of gross floor area. Let me match up some numbers here. So we have a current tentative assessment of $1,102,000 with a land value of $263,000. That would equate to a market value of $1,763,200 market value. And further, petitioner believes the fair market value is $800,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $500,000.
All in the February 3rd submission. It's all in the February 3rd submission.
Yes, which I will pull. Just everything is pretty much the same. February 3rd. Okay, I'm good. I'll turn it over to you.
This property is on the west side of the city. It's Onondaga and Slocum. I was over at the property today. There's several buildings, unfortunately, that are boarded up, vacant, abandoned. The area is not as desirable as the east side, where the redevelopment is happening over on Genesee Street. The tenant terminated their lease by its natural termination on July, I think it was July 31st. And that was part of the submissions. Just to verify the date. Yeah, July 31st of 2023. So the building's vacant and unoccupied. This was originally it was a Rite Aid, and it was built in the period of, I think, the 96, when Rite Aid Pharmacy was making much bigger stores. They were going up to their 11,000 square foot prototype typical store. It was occupied by Rite Aid, I think, for a while, and then bought out by Walgreens. So they held on to the property until the lease termination. Vacant, abandoned, secured, but there is really, it's also marketed on Ellicot's website, but there's been no interest in this property. This one's a little more difficult to certainly market, and it's clear that any tenant that would go into that location wouldn't be paying what pharmacy rentals were at. They'll roughly be at a Family Dollar type Dollar General, $7 a square foot, plus triple net is what they're looking for. So the value at 1.7 million seems to be excessive.
I think that's why I asked that question. So it's not for lease on the open market. It's just listed on as a part of the Ellicott Development's portfolio, perhaps for lease. No one here knows Ellicott, so I think that point is a little less valuable, given that it's not posted for lease, given that there's no for lease signs on the property.
I did note that too, Mr. Bevanese, and I do think that's a note that I'm going to go back to the ownership with. To be honest with you, July 31st, that's August 1st, right? So, 4 months isn't bad, but they could do a better job of marketing the property. And they have no current reuse or for it at present.
Right. And again, to your point earlier, things could change with Walgreens, or their situation on how they are marketing it themselves. Maybe there's another pharmacy they have a relationship with. So you don't want to step on, as the landlord, you don't want to step on those toes as well. So I understand.
Right, but that lease terminated by its term. There's no
Okay,
there's
so
no
it's not
increased
coterminous.
rental. It's zero. The ownership is generating no income on that property. So it's very important to me to go and call Mr. Palladino on the way home and tell him that he needs to put a couple signs up on there and let people know. In the past, because they are a large real estate developer all over upstate New York and Pennsylvania, typically they try to broker their own deals. It's not that they don't typically go outside. They have really good relationships with a lot of the towns and municipalities, and they've worked with city officials on trying to redevelop sites. So I wouldn't anticipate that they would market it today with a broker and brokerage. That's not to say that they haven't done that in the past in other properties. They're probably just vetting it through it right now.
Anything else you want to add? I will come back to you, but.
Okay, well, in response to the request from the board for additional information, I did provide an income and expense statement. It'll show the drop in 2023 on the rental from August to December. We think that, and a copy of the retainer agreement and the rent roll that shows it vacant. And I did provide a letter of termination to the city as well. There's no environmentals, there's no mortgage. It's not actively listed. It might be on our website, but it's not actively listed with a broker, and we have no additional sales information on it. And with all of these properties that the ownership has with its affiliated companies, we do maintain them while we make sure that they're well maintained and they're taken care of during the process in which they're vacant. In looking at a comparable property at 441 Onondaga, that's a Family Dollar, that would be the type of tenancy that would likely go in there, something like that. That is currently assessed for, what did I have it assessed for? That's assessed for 400 and, do I have that right? Yeah, $413,000 with a fair market value of 660. So we think that our request for $800,000 value is reasonable. We recognize there's a larger footprint to the building. So that's really what we're looking for.
That address
It's
again?
441 Onondaga West. Yeah, it's
Is
Onondaga and
441
Midland.
the same ownership?
No, it is affiliated,
Yeah.
a corporation, but it's not the same corporation. They're affiliated entities.
What was the assessed numbers?
The assessed value, the tentative assessment on that is land value 148,400, tentative total assessment of 413, with a full market value of 660,800. What was the full? 660,800.
Okay, good. Turn it over to you.
That helps round out our understanding of the property too. This is good. I know we've provided some sales comps. I think that can be refined a little bit because not all of those are vacant. So knowing that this is actually a dark store, don't
Just-
disagree that this is high given the current state.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I don't want to misrepresent anything. 1405 is dark, and they have rent till the June of 2025. This is a dark, unoccupied, zero income generating parcel.
I think important distinction to be made there. Right. We consider these apples and oranges.
And their location. I mean, we're cognizant of that. I think this is a more depressed area. As I got up really early this morning to get over there, so make the trek to Syracuse.
Yeah, no, you presented a lot of good information, for sure. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we're good. Thanks. Thanks,
Thank you.
Sheila.
Yeah, very nice to meet you.
Okay, all good?
Yes,
All right, well, thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming to Syracuse.
I like it
And,
here. I gotta find the light that's upside down because I'm Irish,
yeah.
right? Where is
Oh, my
it?
God. We'll tell you exactly how to get there.
So,
Yeah, you should go there for lunch.
Ann would probably, yeah, Ann would love to take it.
Yeah, matter of fact, yeah.
And you got a nice, do you have a nice Irish last name?
Ann Gallagher.
Quinlivan.
Ann Gallagher.
I'm a Quinlivan, right?
Quinlivan,
Yeah,
oh my
right from
God.
Ireland. I think there's an architect actually with the last name from the Syracuse area. Quinlivan.
Is that the Q of QPK?
Oh, maybe. Oh, okay.
We're the good ones though, because I think there's a lot of it. My grandfather came over in 1902. So,
That's outstanding.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you should try to get to
Super name.
Coleman's before you leave or when you come back. Coleman's is the bar.
But lacrosse, actually.
Lacrosse,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
My boys went to Siena.
Oh, nice,
Yeah, so they
fantastic.
had a really good,
Always good baseball and lacrosse matches between the two, yeah.
and so, well, did you know a lot of the guys from like Rochester and things like that?
Yeah.
So Eric Munn,
Oh, yeah.
you know Eric?
I know Eric, he works for Five Below, we just did a couple Five Below
Yeah,
deals.
so my son, Jimmy, and he are best friends. We just all got together for the Chiefs game.
Yeah,
So it was terrible.
that's
Just
awesome.
once before I die, like, right? Yeah, Eric's a great guy. So.
All right, great, I gotta tell him I
Yeah,
met you then.
yeah, very
We-
nice to
we
put the
talk all
connection.
time.
Yeah,
Good.
he's great.
All right.
His parents are lovely. CL and-
Nice.
I had them all. They were all with us at the football game.
Oh, no, that's great.
So.
Go Bills then.
Oh God, go Bills! We got to like to hide back. I'm doing everything, and I actually.
Sit on snow?
No, I wasn't at that game, but I was literally so dialed in that I didn't have one. And I was yelling at people, and I was like, "You better stand up! We are not sitting down for this game." My husband's like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "I just want to win. I just want it so
It's
bad."
gonna happen in your lifetime, I'm sure of that.
I know, but wide right. Like, do we have to have it again? So devastating.
Absolutely.
My theory, I'm a big Bills fan.
So nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming in. Safe travels back.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And, you know, please, if the board or the assessor has additional information, we're happy to provide that.
Thanks for coming.
I do have two of them here. 109-15 Fordham Road. This is the, what are those, Gray Ave apartment? Yeah, I call them, yeah. Rugby Square, but Gray Ave is the, where I grew up. Playing football on Thanksgiving morning in our underwear.
Nice.
So all the city can hear. Yeah. Yeah, on Gray Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. All friends in the area gathered there. Oh, my God. Memories. Beautiful memories.
For some reason, you didn't wear pants.
Well, it was so muddy and everything that, we didn't start out in underwear. It went that way.
Okay, all right, that makes more sense.
Clothes getting ripped off and, things you do as a young teenager.
Yeah,
I mean, I have specific ones, but. Are you talking or am I? You can.
I think it was worth her trip.
Yeah, yeah, her law firm's great. They're fantastic at what they do. Everyone in Buffalo loves them, so, in the real estate world, at least.
Yeah, that's good. And you had some great questions, by the way, that, that's, we need your expertise as far as the commercial is concerned. So those are great points to bring up. Puts them
Push
in
back a little bit.
position. Yeah, so on the
Maybe
last
more
couple too.
forthcoming.
Yeah, that, we know what we're talking about. So, that I think you want to put into the file.
All right, yeah.
Michelle's, came out of the second file. It came out of the second file.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 512.
Okay. Are you guys all set?
Yep.
Yep, okay. Do you want me to wait or no?
No.
Michelle, we're ready with the next petition? Yep, got it. Whenever you're ready, if you want to have a seat up here, it'd be great. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good. Just to confirm, you're here for 109-15 Fordham Road and 110-14 Fordham Road?
Correct.
Okay. I assume this is Rugby Square Apartments?
Yep, single economic unit, everything, all my paperwork applies to both. They're just combined in all the financials.
Okay, So with that, I should read them in together.
Yes.
And then we'll talk about it in a macro. Okay, that sounds good. Let me just make a couple notes and then I'll swear you in. You could raise your right hand, state your name for the record.
Trevor Duffy?
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Let me just read both of them in. These are the Rugby Square Apartments. First address, 109-15 Fordham Road. Apartment buildings, we have let me confirm. Okay. So we have a current tentative assessment of $5,490,000, which would be a fair market value of $8,784,000. Tom, not critical, but do we have a land value on this?
No.
Okay.
Wait a minute. No.
Okay. And, let me just find it again. Commissioner believes the fair market value is $3,488,000. And that would equate to an assessed value of $2,180,000. And let me just take a quick look through. And, okay, these authorized. How many units are on this
Um,
and/or,
it's the combined, there's 212 units,
okay,
and the bigger parcel has 29 fewer units than that. So let me do some quick math.
is this the bigger parcel?
Correct, yeah. I have 183 apartments.
183 and 29.
That's, that matches.
All right, so 109-15 Fordham has 183 units and 29 at 110, 114 Fordham. Okay. So let me further that, 110-114 Fordham Road, apartment buildings, and just want to match up. Here we have a current tentative assessed value of $870,000. We'll get the land value. Fair market value, $1,392,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $552,000 with a equatable assessed value of $345,000. Same as the prior, same information, authorization to speak. And so at this point, let me turn it over to you, and then we'll go back and forth.
Yeah, so this is just apartments. They're a little bit older. There's a lot of deferred maintenance issue with these particular apartments. I provided to the board in my, I think it was delivered on Monday, a big packet of information with audited financials, a bunch of deferred maintenance that they're required to do to the property before they can find new financing. The financing fell off the property last year. In January, the bank approached them, said, you know, they were done with them, find a new bank, and they couldn't find one in time. And they paid off the loan in November of last year. And they, as of last Friday, they didn't have new financing on the property yet. And both grievances have the same exact attachment where I just took the 22 tax return financials and I just capitalized them using the assessor's formula. So that's all that is for both. And I did an allocation based on the way the city had already allocated between the value between the two parcels. And that's just where that number comes up. It is admittedly a low number, but their expense ratio on this property is very high. There's a lot of expenses. It's an older property. I think I calculated around an expense ratio in the 60% range.
this was the original, and then it's the complaint, so let's see and hope that it's, in here. I got something, when did you send it?
It was delivered Monday by priority mail, and it's like 50 pages double-sided. So it's not thin.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Just put it in the other folder.
Yeah, so you'll find rent rolls in there, audited financials. I just gave a sample lease agreement. I could give you all 200 leases, but I mean, that would, I think it'd be a waste of your time. Yeah, I got 3 years rent rolls. I got the ledger of all the improvements they've done to the property in the last 5 years. There's been no sales. It hasn't been listed in the last few years.
When was the last time it was listed?
I don't have that. It's not, I think since my client bought it, it hasn't been listed. And I think my client's owned it for a decade or so.
Was this, does Morgan Properties own this?
He was a partner in this. I don't know if he still is, but he was a partner. You'll see him on those, you might find him on the tax return pages or in the audited financials that I provided. Double check that. I think he was, yeah, so he was Robert Morgan was a 50% partner in 19 and 20 at least, and he might have continued on.
Is he still an owner?
I don't know for sure if that's the case. I could confirm with, my contact is the other owner.
A lot of information which we will go through. Anything else you want to add before I go over to the city? We'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we be waiting for Ann, or? Okay.
Maybe there's a, you can have this list of sales, but, some copy information, but, each of they're valued at $30,000 a unit. We've got sales of properties that have better condition and in far worse condition, that their value per unit, their sale price per unit was a lot higher. We've got Valentine Gardens, 138 units, sold for $6.4 million, and is valued at roughly $46.9 a unit. The history of Valentine Gardens is well documented. This is Rugby Manor is, with the expenses as high as 50%, that's so far out of line with typical apartments. A lot of it is deferred. Well, that's probably because the reserve for replacement weren't accounted for, because otherwise that would have been absorbed and you would have had a more reasonable expense ratio of 20 to 25%. It just seems that whatever happened, that they just weren't taking care of the building the way they should have, and that's on them, not on the city. I mean, I don't know if it's been offered for sale. Well, he says it has been offered for sale, but we've got, I've got sales that justify, that we could have, assessed it at a higher rate, but we didn't. We took into account the fact that there are problems with the property. We couldn't ignore the fact that they had to get portable generators for heat for one or more buildings. You take that into account. You say, okay, $30,000 is a unit, might be okay given the condition, but to say that it's worth less than that, we just can't agree to that, but it's the board's call. I mean, here's my list. You can, and I've highlighted the ones for the board.
Just wanted to point out that it's at $48,000 per unit in market value. He's speaking in assessed value, which is
That's how we do things.
I know, but it conflates when you're using comparable sales and then you jump back to assessed value. It's just,
that is based on the sale price per unit, not the assessed value. Go by the assessed value, I could expand the spreadsheet to show what they are.
Yeah, I mean, we can figure that ourselves as well. I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying, but we're able to keep it separate.
I have a lot of clients I can't do that, so that's why I just wanted to-
Yes.
It's confusing for many people.
Yes, no, we're, point well taken, but we're more on the assessed value and can extrapolate out if we want.
When was the city's last revaluation? About 20 years ago? 94.
Yeah, that's,
Somewhere down
we'll
the
have to
road.
talk, yeah, guess there's been talk bits and pieces, but it sounds like it's, coming along.
No coincidence there, right?
Me too, we're gonna leave Matt
Yeah,
here alone.
You know, I can retire at 39, so why not take advantage of it?
Absolutely. Would you wait so long for? Okay, anything else you wanna add?
No, if you need any additional information, just let me know. I'll do my best to turn it around.
I think, again, we did not go through this as of yet, given the fact that it arrived on Monday. But we will, certainly, and also go through what the city provided. Ann, anything you wanted to add on Rugby Square?
Totally, Tom.
Yep,
Is the master.
And he was, or he is. So, we'll go through everything, and the city will send out a couple notices first week of April.
Great.
And anything else that you want to submit, we're in session until end of February, March 1st, probably the latest, if you need to get in. Accept information, we're still in hearing mode, which will be at least until March 1st.
Okay.
Which is Friday. But short of that, again, thank you. If you traveled from somewhere, thank you for coming in, and safe travels back.
Thank you. It's a nice day.
It's a
Throughway.
Yeah, beautiful day.
Thank you guys.
Take care,
care.
take care.
The next three
10:30.
are rescheduled.
Oh,
Oh,
The three Salinas are rescheduled, so we got a little break. Oh, so you don't even have them.
I was gonna say, yeah, I don't see Salinas here.
One's here, if you wanna read them in, they, had emailed, we're trying to reschedule with them.
Let's see, if you're trying to reschedule, should we not hold?
Still read them in because they had asked for a non-hearing, but I let them know and that we can reschedule them in case.
Okay.
We'll read them in for today.
Yep, based on that, and I'll note that they requested a non-hearing, and we've offered, suggested that they come in. Okay? All right, let's take a look at where they are here. Okay, these are back up, three of them on James Street there in the upper portion of the list. So let me just number them out here and go in the order that they appear on the list.
That's what he's doing right now. Yep.
Yep, got them right here, and, yeah, no problem. Okay, so these next three properties, I'm gonna read in. They originally submitted, petitions with requesting a non-hearing. And Michelle got back to them and suggested that they schedule a hearing via email, was the communication, and we'll hopefully be able to communicate with them and try to get them in here for an in-person hearing. So with that, first property is 2449-59 James Street. And let me just get the application here. Okay, so this is a commercial building. Once again, 2449-59 James Street. The current assessed value is $500,000 tentative, with a land value of $102,000. That would make the fair market value $800,000. Based on the current tentative assessment. Petitioner believes that the fair market value is $400,000, with an assessed value of $250,000. Just to go through the application real quick. Nothing on here other than a few numbers. And so with that, this is, you said, what type, what's in this building? Oh, it's the old Palm, okay. The old Palmco building, which is pretty large. Yeah. Is that all vacant? So they, where did they go?
Not totally.
Okay. So, okay, and so anything else you
Yeah,
want to
I'll
add?
give you, you know, if we do reschedule this information, there's just comparables of, you know, office space.
Was this in, what prompted these to come in, or to submit a petition?
Now, AutoCom is not in litigation, correct? No, it's not. Okay. So,
Okay, so it was just, it wasn't something where assessment was increased or anything?
yeah.
Okay, all right, so it was just something that showed up. All right, fair enough. Next one is 2433 James Street, going along the list of what's on our sheet. Commercial building, matching up the numbers. We have a current tentative assessment of $144,000 with a land value of $25,200. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $115,200, and the equatable assessed value is $72,000. And just looking through again on the petition, nothing other than some pertinent numbers. So anything to add on this one? Oh, it's all together, okay. And the next property. Okay, so these properties are all that whole storefront, if you will. Let me just find the petition for this here. Okay, third and final property of this set, 2401-07 James Street. Commercial building, current tentative assessed value of $1,304,000 with a land value of $146,600. The petitioner believes the fair market value is $1,043,200, which would be an assessed value of $652,000. Once again, just flipping through, nothing as far as sale information or purchase or anything else other than a few numbers and then authorization. And we've already received information on all three properties. That would be in the packet for 2449-59 James Street. And we will wait for, the board will wait for communication if there is an actual in-person hearing set up for these three properties. Okay. I'd say, does anybody need to hit the restroom? No?
Just might have to leave at like 11:10.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. No problemo, I don't believe. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 properties. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. If anybody does want to take a break, might be a good time now. I may run to the restroom myself. Short of that, looks like we got a few people. Yeah, Mike, no problem. Just tell Michelle on the way out that you're leaving. The only thing I wanted to say is, did you guys, I didn't get a chance to talk to her, but did you get 3 emails last night, yesterday from her about what we discussed yesterday? But there was one for February 14th, but we have hearings that day. She sent one for February 14th that I think was a mistake. We're supposed to meet on the 15th and the 20th. Okay.
What would be great is a month overview as opposed to the individual.
Like an actual couple
Little highlights. One page of, this is when we're meeting. would be good.
Actually, one might be a
did.
grocery store and the other might be.
Did you get that email?
I don't know.
All right, why don't you take a peek, because she sent that on Tuesday
It
afternoon.
wasn't like a calendar, it was just a,
It was a, yeah. See if you can find that, because that had everything listed, although the 15th and the 20th. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify. You had sent 3 emails out yesterday. One
Yeah,
for the
because
14th, which is no
that-
He
good.
might ask what it, I mean, you need to
One.
read this.
Was supposed to be the 15th.
This one
Yeah,
sold
so
twice, so.
the third email was just a correction of that one. Put it to the 15th.
All right, so we're meeting to do decisions on the 15th and the 20th.
Yep.
And the 14th, we're still meeting in the morning
You're still
for
meeting.
hearings.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That's
the
what I
14th
figured.
shouldn't be on your calendar anymore because that particular one was moved to the 14th.
Okay.
But it's not, unfortunately.
I saw that. And I think I accepted all 3, but I was gonna clarify.
Yeah, yeah, you'll see that, the first one that you accepted is actually just been changed.
Okay.
So there isn't 3 that will be.
All
on
right,
the
so
calendar.
again, we'll just add the deliberations on the 15th and 20th, and the 14th remains that we've got here.
Correct, yes, and I did, booked rooms for the 2 days that Brandon Council has scheduled. Hoping that we still follow. So those rooms are booked, but if I need to cancel them,
Which are what days?
22nd and 26th.
22nd and 26th. You don't have any hearings yet, so
Yeah,
therefore we
they're on the
could
schedule,
insert
but.
decisions. 22nd.
Okay.
Okay, yes. Mike's gonna have to leave
on your list,
Okay.
but they're already here, so we can hear them now. We'll talk to the head downstairs.
Okay, I'm just gonna run to the restroom, is that okay? Real quick? Quick. I'm gonna run. Oh, I said I was gonna run.
Don't run.
life
If they're
easier.
that good, God bless.
Yeah.
But
That would certainly be easier.
Yeah. You know,
Price.
could be. I guess
Yeah,
we're gonna
yeah.
find out.
Yeah,
I won't bring it up. I'll just see.
yeah, yeah.
All right, I think we can start without. At 403 Fayette, 1625 Erie Boulevard East. Gentleman in the back, I think. How are you? Have a seat, whichever one you like. So you've got two properties. Are they related? Any particular order?
They're not related, totally separate. Yeah, we could do the first one that you mentioned at 403 Fayette Street. My name is Nicholas Connolly. I'm law
Okay,
firm.
hold on one second, I'm gonna swear you in. All right, so we want to do 403 first and then 1625 second. All right, that'll work. And they're not related. So if you could just raise your right hand, state your name for the record.
Nicholas Connolly.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So this is 405 East Fayette Street.
403.
I'm sorry, it's 403 East Fayette Street, thank you. Yep, and this, is this number 11 as far as we're concerned?
Well,
This is 12. Oh, okay, because you counted those two, all right.
did you count? them?
Yeah, I counted the first two as one, but that's okay. I'll just keep it on with me, I know what to do, when we can. All right, so, once again. 403 East Fayette Street. So this is outside plant property, fiber optic. This is AT&T, okay. So we have our tentative assessment of $380,000, no land value. That would equate to a $608,000 market value. Petitioner believes the market value is 60,800, which would be an assessed value of 38,000. Correctly, this is in litigation?
It is.
It is, okay. All right, so with that, let me just, look through for the, authorization. Okay. Why don't you tell us about this piece?
Well, we have a few years pending, I believe dating back to the 2020 year, and we are in preliminary discussions with the city attorney, and it is our hope and our intention to have all matters resolved. The owner here is AT&T Communications of New York. The subject property is fiber optic cable located on private property here within the city of Syracuse. It is not a traditional land or building which is occupied by an owner or tenant. Therefore, there are no rent rolls or income and expense statements. The property is 100% owned and utilized by AT&T for its telecommunications network. The property was not acquired within the past 3 years. The property is not leased, it's not listed for sale, and there is no mortgage on it. There are no known environmental contamination issues, and there have not been any appraisal reports completed within the past few years. Now, as fiber optic assets, we provided an analysis, and this provides that the original investment made in the analysis provides the original investment made in the private property and the years it was placed in service. Using various cost indices, the original costs are trended upwards to the present time, which provides the reproduction costs new. And the property is then subject to various forms of depreciation, physical function, and economic, which reduces the value of the property to the reproduction cost, new less depreciation, also known as RCNLD. Now, RCNLD is the exact way that ORPS, the Office of Real Property Services, calculates such property. And the only difference between how ORPS calculates such property for public property and the situation here is that here it's located on private property, but it's the same type of property. It's fiber optic cables, and it would have the same RCNLD analysis. So that's the method that was used and that was provided, and the RCNLD concludes a low value, of a very low value, as it was. It has an age of 35 years, so I believe it concludes a value of just roughly 19,600. So that's pretty much summarizes this property and the value that we've come to. It's certainly not a unique property for valuation purposes.
You opened up, you said that you were in initial discussions with the city?
Yes, I believe so. Just getting started is my understanding with the city.
Hasn't this been an ongoing scenario?
I think there are at least 3 years at issue. We lost Trevor, but John, that sounds about right. 3, 4 years at issue. We've been talking pretty well in earnest for 10, 12 months, I think, since last year's grievance, really. And the crux of it is the depreciation, obviously. Extraordinarily difficult thing to quantify from our perspective. Whoa. I could go into the weeds on that, but yeah, that's where the hang-up is. But I think everything's been amicable. We appreciate the ongoing outreach, and we're just pretty far apart.
Yeah, no, that's what it looks like. And, you know, he had said it looked like it was moving towards resolution, but I see the numbers here, and it seems like that's a long way. Hopefully, we can get this thing taken care of and move on. Anything you want to add?
Oh, that covers it.
Okay. Anything you want to add? That's all. Okay. Thank you very much. Next one here, 1625 Erie Boulevard East. I'll put it down as number 12. This is a supermarket with, let me just confirm numbers here. Current tentative assessment of $3,483,150, with a land value of $800,540. That would equate to a fair market value of $5,573,000. We have petitioner believes the fair market value is $557,304. Equate to an assessed value of $348,315. Just want to flip through a couple things here. Authorization. Okay. So we've got a plethora of information here, and
This is a 36,360 square foot supermarket, known as a Price Right Supermarket, located at 1625 Erie Boulevard East and Teal Ave. The parcel ID is 31-03-10.6. There are no earlier years open on this matter, so this is the first year. Property such as this, that is a leased supermarket, it's our opinion it should be valued on the income capitalization approach. And what we've done here is we did provide an assessment analysis that was based on CoStar market rents. And the CoStar market rents concluded that we used in our analysis was an amount of $12 per square foot. And when applied to the 36,360 square feet, that came to a gross rent total of 436,000 square feet. A 7.5% vacancy rate was applied, which brought the effective gross income down to 403,000, and a roughly 15% expense ratio brought the net income down to 343,000. Once capitalized with a total cap rate of 11.7%, it indicates a value, an equalized market value of roughly 2.9 million. So that's what we did provide to the board as a basis for a reduction. That's our submission.
Did you provide actual net operating income?
We
Schedule?
provided the leases. We provided the lease between the original owner and Wakefern, who is our client. Wakefern is a net tenant. They fully occupy the space as a net tenant. And Wakefern, or excuse me, the owner that Wakefern entered into the lease with, they transferred the property in 2017 to Agri, who is the owner of the property. But all that lease information and the sale information from 2017 was provided to the board.
A little bit of convoluted information there. So the owner of the is it owner occupied?
No,
Okay.
it's not owner
So
occupied.
the owner would be receiving rental income from the entity that operates Price Rate? Is that correct? There is a lease in place.
There is a lease in place between.
Is it a ground lease or is it?
It's not a ground lease. There's lease in place between the prior owner to Wakefern, our client, and then that lease was taken over by the buyer of the property, Agri, and then Wakefern subleases the property to Price Right, who occupies the property. But all of the lease information was provided in our submission. I know there's a lot of moving parts here, but we do represent the net tenant, which, and net tenant is, does have the right to, as they pay the property taxes, they do have the right to bring the grievance.
You said this is the first submission,
The first year at issue.
first year at
Yeah,
issue?
no back years.
No litigation or
Correct.
anything at this stage?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. I'll come back to you, but okay to go over to the city?
Sure.
Unless you have some more information.
No, I
you
have
wanna-
nothing else to provide.
Okay.
Okay, we looked up through the sales reps, the state website, and there's not a lot of supermarkets that have been sold, but I can give you some that went up, found something in Casanova and out in Town of Clay and DeWitt. And also, the owner's indicated value totally ignores the $7.8 million sale price from 2020. And I've never heard of a vacancy rate applied to a supermarket. It's not like you're renting out individual office space. You have variable, different tenants, and one or two of those tenants might vacate for whatever reason. Then you can apply a vacancy rate, but you're talking about a supermarket. So what do you cut out? What's going to be missing that wouldn't be allocated to the lease? That's a question that I have. But here's the,
Is it a freestanding building?
Yeah.
And it's just the supermarket houses that
I
lot
believe so.
and space?
That's my understanding.
here's the sales that we got from the sales web and the information from our files, on the property. We think it's fairly assessed. It's got a great location. And whenever you go by there, their lot has a lot of traffic in it.
How long has Price Rate been there?
Several years.
Was that a new build put up for Price
It was
Rate?
a new build.
New build, Price Rate, so, yeah, and expand on your vacancy rates and all that.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
If the board does elect to lower the assessment, you have to adjust the 485B because they were given a 485B exemption based on the increase in the assessed value at the time we originally assessed it. So that would have to go down.
That's over so many years?
Right.
How many? 10 years? What was the original exemption? What were the numbers?
I'd have to look that up, but I can't remember. I may have been the one that put the.
So if, we have the original, I don't believe believe we have the original amount, so it's probably 5 years into the,
At least.
5 years into the exemption. You know, he said 20, you know what I mean? So, considering, and it's sold for, like Tom said, $215 per square foot. Right now, it's currently assessed at 95, so.
And that price again was what, 7 million?
$7.884 million.
Yeah.
0.84 million.
In 20.
Okay. Anything you want to add as far as what they're saying?
Well, I would just add that the sale was subject to a lease. The buyer is taking the property over with the property encumbered by a lease, which would make it a leased fee sale, not a fee simple sale. And the law in New York State for valuation of property is fee simple. So a sale of that order, were the matter to go to a trial or before court, we would argue would not be valid
And
as.
do we know if that was indicated on the 5217 when it was
I
have
do
to
not
check.
know.
I have to check that. I don't,
I can't see it right.
yeah.
We could check it, because if it's indicated that it's a warranty deed, we would accept it as as a true arm's length sale. But still, you're still taking into account the lease, you're still paying $7.8 million for it.
The income. Okay, okay. Anything else you want to add?
That's all.
Can we take a card for the file?
Sure. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. Anything you want to add? Okay, great. So thank you for all the information, a
All
lot
right,
of
thank you.
information. We will go through it.
All right, thank you.
And appreciate you coming in and answering some questions. And the city will send a notice first week of April.
All right, thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Which one did you count as?
No, the first two I counted as only because they were adjoining
Yeah, right.
and read in together.
Okay.
But, we'll follow along, certainly,
Okay.
so no worries. All right, yeah, that sounds good. Good information, Ann. Yeah, yeah. All right, we've got 200-10 Waverly Ave and 737 South Crouse Ave.
Morning.
How are you?
Mark McNamara from Barclay Damon, representing Syracuse University. This is Joe Feder, who is Director of Real Estate and Assets at the university, in case there's any questions.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll swear you both in if that's the case.
Sure.
Is there a particular order you want these addressed?
I think 737 Kraus should go first.
All right, so let me just swear you both in. If you could raise your right hands. State your name for the record.
Mark McNamara?
Joe Feder?
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll start off with 737 South Crouse Ave. Let me just read it in, and then I'll turn it over to you. Looks like we have submission of information from you as well. Once again, 737 South Crouse Avenue. This is a 2,550 square foot mixed-use building containing the university's Department of Public Safety Satellite Office, which is 790 square feet, and additional lease space of 1,760 square feet. One second here. Read off some numbers here. We have a current tentative assessed value of $715,000 with a land value of $311,500. That would equate to a market value of $1,140,000. 44,000. And then we've got property owner's estimate of value, we have not applicable. So we don't have anything as far as that. Oh, it's an exemption issue. Okay, that explains that. Uh, 100% exemption?
No.
No,
31%?
31%. Okay. All right, let me turn it over to you then with a breakdown and all that good stuff.
The easiest way to do this is if you have the complaint in front of you, or actually, I can just hold it up. There's the building. It's a small building, as you said, 2,550 square feet. And the corner suite, which is 790 square feet, is the Department of Public Safety satellite office. The property was completed, renovated. That suite was renovated in December and is ready to go. All they're waiting for is some equipment which hasn't arrived yet. They expect that to arrive this month. But there's attached to our complaint is a statement in support and also the calculation as to what the assessment should be. 790 square feet is 31% of 2,550 square feet. The other two spaces are commercial spaces. One is leased out to a pita sandwich place. The other one was leased out to another sandwich place, but it's vacant right now. So there's only one other tenant. We're not dealing with respect to that. The statement that I attached to the complaint cites the law with respect to when you're entitled to an exemption so long as it's for tax exempt purposes, consistent with those of the owner, which is Syracuse University here. The satellite office for the public safety office for the university is obviously consistent with their purposes in terms of running the university. And the only issue is that they're not operating out of there yet because of this equipment. The law that I provided in the statement, both based on the law from the 420A, from the statute itself, but also from the World Buddhist Ching Center, which is a third department case, uses the term, so long as the work is in progress or in good faith contemplated, so long as it satisfies purpose, that it's a not-for-profit purpose, but so long as it's in progress or in good faith contemplated. Ours is not in progress, ours is done. Ours is ready to go as soon as this equipment comes in. So it's way past that standard, and we should receive the exemption with respect to that 790 square feet.
Retro to January 1st.
Yes. And the scale, and provided in the complaint is the picture of what the space looks like. You see after, that's the way it was in December of 2023.
And what equipment are we waiting for?
Mostly IT equipment, computers, things like that. There's a lead time on that.
When was it ordered?
I can't speak to that specifically, but prior to the best of my knowledge, prior to some point, 2020, when kind of renovation work was going on.
And when's it expected?
I believe sometime this month, fingers crossed that it comes in.
Where's it coming from?
Couldn't tell you, I'm sorry.
Hopefully it's not on a ship.
But,
Because it's going to be a little delayed, probably.
Mr. Chairman, even if it was on a ship, or even if
Oh,
it had,
I understand
even
your
if it had
premise.
never been ordered, even if they hadn't gotten around to ordering it yet, we would still be
Was
entitled to
there-
the exemption based on the condition of the property right now.
Understood.
The one additional thing that I wanted to say is and I recognize the requests for information or boilerplate requests that go out to all the property owners. All of the requests with respect to this property have to do with value, with the exception of one, number 7. And so we objected to that. I brought all the information, all this value, income and expense statement, purchase and sale contract, et cetera. I brought all of that. But for in-camera review, if in fact you want to see it, but my objection is it's irrelevant because, again, this is an exemption case, it has nothing to do with the value.
Makes sense. Anything else you want to add? I'll come back to you, but,
No, sir.
okay. So I think I've heard this before, not from this specific person or entity. but is it not in fact true if they're moving in that direction?
As you note, this comes up periodically, and I think we're working toward consistency here. The case law that Mark cites, we're not familiar with, but happy to have a look. But yeah, there was just some internal consternation as to the use change and where we were on tax status date. So we've had, I think, productive conversations with Joe and staff about this. We're working toward a mutual understanding, and but look forward to reviewing what's been submitted.
You have the complaint, right? Do you want me to get you a copy of it?
I think the board has everything you've submitted. If
Yeah,
so,
okay,
we
okay.
can get it through the board.
All right.
Thanks, Mark.
Yes, we have the complaint, and everything you said makes sense as far as, you know, what's happening, but you're just not sure. You haven't come to a consensus with respect to January 1st.
Well, I think all of us understand where we were on January 1st. I got to walk through the space with Joe on, I believe, the 9 plus or minus, and did an exterior inspection on her birthday right before the new year. So yeah, we've got a meeting of the minds there. Just a little bit of gray as to our interpretation of this, but I think this will help.
So we should be holding in a holding pattern at this point.
Yeah, we'll circle back with certainly Joe and Ellen and Mark, and also loop in the board too.
Okay, that sounds great. Anything else you want to add?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's go on to 200-10 Waverly then.
This is going to be pretty brief unless lightning strikes here and the board.
All right, no, that's fine. Let me just make it a little bit longer by reading it in, but I'm with you, Okay, so 200-10 Waverly, we have a current tentative assessed value of $18 million. That would equate, with a land value of $1,140,000, that would equate to a market value of $28,800,000. And we have, this is also an exemption issue. And what's the percentage there? Everything?
100%. The way that it's set up right now is the total assessment is 18 million. All of that is exempt except for, I think it's $1.8 million. So there's, it's
9%, yeah.
So about 9% currently, and you're looking to move it from 91 to 100%.
correct.
And so what's the situation with the building?
Well, first of all, the situation is that it's in, the past 2 years are in litigation, pretty aggressive litigation, and we're in the middle of discovery right now, pursuant to a scheduling order with Judge Neri. So I've responded to the board's request for information, which was a complete response. But in addition to that, the city has several thousand pages of materials which have been produced in response to their discovery requests. Our position, again, in the interest that lightning may strike here, our position is that the food court and the campus store, which are the areas that the city has determined are not entitled to an exemption, are in fact in furtherance of the university's not-for-profit purposes as an educational institution. It is a gathering place for people to meet, to eat, to study, to converse, to watch that big television, that huge television screen that they have there, to buy student supplies, to buy food, to buy gear, Syracuse University gear, et cetera. It's a student union, like any other student union on campuses.
Well, I think it's open to the public.
It is open to the public.
And therein lies the rub, I think, as far as the city's concerned, but go ahead.
Right, and that's one of the issues in which there's a rub, as you say. But our position is that the purposes of that entire facility, and particularly the food court and the campus store, are totally consistent with the university's not-for-profit purposes. It's in furtherance, it's primarily in furtherance of those not-for-profit purposes, and that satisfies the statutory requirements, and the city disagrees.
As Mark notes, in litigation, couldn't improve upon what he said.
And you're all set on your end then?
Yeah, I'm going to report back to my client that it looks pretty good. That lightning, in fact, is going to strike here, and so we'll only have to deal with the 2 years of litigation. That's what I'll report back.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to go, and hopefully, because it's, I know you're talking major dollars and all that good stuff, but it'd be nice to be able to resolve, I'm sure. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming in. And the city will send a couple of notices first week of April.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
You too.
I was gonna negotiate it for you and get it done right here if you wanted me to, and
Mediators are in high demand.
I can stay around for you.
all right, that sounds good. You too. Okay, all right. We'll see you Monday morning, right? I'll be here at 8.
7th and 8th wards on Monday, big day. All of
What is it now?
All of Carl's neighbors,
Oh, really?
all 3 who have grieved.
Oh, boy. All 3. They put a sign out in front of their building, tax grievance day, and he was trying to drum up some business.
We could put some flyers out there in the planting strip, and I
think
rip
that's
off
a
a little
good
phone
idea.
number.
I think that's a good idea.
It's not my phone number.
Stop in and open up a policy while you're there.
This would be good.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 426-502 Madison Street. How are you, sir? Good, thank you. Yeah, have a seat, make yourself comfortable. We got coffee here if you want.
All set.
Number 15 on my list. Once again, 426-502 Madison Street, Upstate Properties. Okay, if I could just swear you in, can you raise your right hand? State your name for the record.
Daniel K. Mannion?
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Let me just read the property in once again.
Sure thing.
For the third time, I think. 426-502 Madison Street. This is residential tower complex with adjoining parking. Let me just confirm some numbers here. We have a current tentative assessment of $1,900,000 with a land value of $1,621,900. And the equatable market value would be $3,040,000. And then we have, let's see, this is exemption also, okay, thank you for that. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $291,300. Would equate to an assessed value of $182,062.50. This is an exemption issue. And is this 100% exemption?
It has been in the past. We are, well, on the tentative roll, it's no exemption. Dan's client is arguing 100.
Arguing for a full exemption. Okay. Very good. Okay, so let me just actually look through just to make sure okay and authorized. Okay. And why don't you tell us the situation?
Sure. So I think most of us are probably familiar with the tower itself. It's right by 81. So little background, Upstate Properties Development, my client, they exist for the sole purpose of supporting SUNY Upstate Medical University, which is itself obviously a state entity. So that is our sole purpose. The building itself, they acknowledge it's vacant. It's in a state of disrepair that would not allow it to be habitable at this time. I think for the whole exemption that we're looking for, the question is what's its primary use? And right now its primary use is for parking. So at the moment it has 86 parking spaces. Of those, about 40 are used for SUNY Upstate right now for their staff, their employees. The other 46 are used for residents of the Geneva Towers, which are across the street. And that's also owned by Upstate Properties Development, so it's the same landowner. As I've read the case law, parking does permit, it is a valid use of real property to entitle them to the exemption. One of the cases is Syracuse University had a famous case many decades ago where they referenced parking, and even where there was de minimis use for a public purpose, which there is no public use here, they were still entitled to the full exemption for the parking space, for the parking land. So that's why we're looking for the full exemption there. I did also just question the valuation of the property as well, primarily because, well, a couple of reasons. One, so the building itself, and in one of the papers that we submitted, we have an estimate from Sessler Wrecking, which estimates over $7 million to abate the asbestos in the building and to also demolish it so that it could be put into a position where they could actually develop it, which they contemplate doing at some point. It's just a question of dollars. It's extremely expensive, obviously, as you can imagine, to develop that property, and especially given the condition it's currently in. So knowing that, I mean, the real value of the property right now is just for parking. So to have it assessed at $1.9 million, which just seems to be well in excess of what that value should be. And we did submit several other comparable parking space properties in the area, in the downtown area. I think the highest one that we saw was $900 some odd thousand, and that had 300 some odd parking spaces in it. Again, we only have 86, so there's 86 spaces used for parking, and it's daily parking. I mean, you drive by it, there's plenty of people using it constantly for Geneva Towers and for SUNY Upstate. For that reason, we think that the valuation is also off base.
You're grieving the, all right, so because there's a lot of moving parts here, and I want to try to understand it. Was this exempt prior to, and you guys are making it not exempt? And why was it exempt prior to? And I'm going in a direction that I'm going to come back to you in a second, but if I could.
This was exempt from rolls 2011 through 2023, I believe. It was exempt in the first instance as a result of a settlement authorized by the Common Council for 1 year only. There were a lot of moving parts there, Dan. I don't know if you were involved in that.
I was not.
It was at Hancock, I know. Long story short, when Upstate Properties acquired these two parcels, actually, Townsend Tower and Harrison House, there was an enormous tax delinquency associated with these. They sought to settle that, and part of that settlement was that these two properties would be converted to productive use. Both would enjoy a tax exemption should that use be realized in order to pave the way, so to speak, for that work. The exemption was granted for 2011, and then ultimately stayed on the roll for a period of time.
Building sat vacant and as to what it is now today. Now, just coming back to you, you said that this building and parking lot supports Upstate University?
SUNY Upstate Medical
SUNY
University.
Upstate Medical.
Yep.
Okay, so it's been vacant for how long?
gosh, it's been vacant at least since Upstate Properties has, since they acquired it. I think there was probably a period of vacancy prior to.
Probably, yeah.
Right, so in what way are they supporting SUNY Upstate Hospital?
Again, I would just want to restate, we don't contest the fact that the building is vacant. I think they do want to fix it up and
Well, that's
improve
fine,
it,
but
and-
I mean,
No, I understand.
you know, so, I mean, that's a no-brainer in my eyes as far as, it shouldn't be exempt, but we're not making any decisions today. All right, so just bring the parking in again. What would you say, overall, building, and property percentage-wise of the whole scenario? What are we talking about?
So, yeah, so fair question. As I read the numbers, I think the building, based off of the reassessment, is, I think, 200 some odd, $278,100. So based off of just the estimate to do the remediation and the demo work, it's a liability. It's less than zero, right? The building's in terrible shape. So if you leave behind the 1.6 million or whatever you want to ascribe to the value of the land itself, again, I think it's really only used right now is for parking. That's all they can use it for at the moment. So, I mean, to the extent that there is value in the land, it's toward that tax exempt purpose. So I guess is your question like how much of a percentage I'm looking to get applied to it? I guess that's difficult to say.
You don't have to tell me now. I mean, you could submit something in writing as far as that's concerned. I want to see what your thoughts are. But clearly, you know, I think there's been a hell of a break up to this point as far as all this time that has passed and it's remained on the rolls as exempt. Basically, been a free ride as far as the owners are concerned. That's the way I look at it.
Slight bit of background there too. We did reduce the assessment this year. It had been, I believe, $2,350,000 for a fairly long period of time. We reduced that as part of a true reassessment of the property. Sales comps to back it up for shell structures, reduced that to $1,900,000 this year.
Just, you know, your client's got to start making some decisions and get some things underway would be my assessment without knowing too much. But anyway, okay, anything else you want to?
I'm not familiar. I'm not sure. I don't think so. No.
I haven't heard that either. But anything else you want to add?
No, sir.
Okay. How about the city?
Ooh, as Dan notes, a lot of moving parts here. To synthesize this, on the valuation end, again, we're comfortable. We've got comps to back up, I think, the property. We've got some concern about the analysis that the building represents such a detriment to the property value that it effectively eliminates the value, and the only value is in the parking. Although we're very close on the value of the parking itself, within $20,000 of one another. But yeah, we think the parking represents about 13% of the value. I know this has been tried years ago. John was not directly involved, but Roth v. City of Syracuse, we think that type of environmental detriment that does not, in fact, eliminate the value of the tower, encumbered as the property is by the tower with a pretty large cost to cure. I don't think we're telling Upstate anything they don't know, that Upstate Properties portfolio is wholly on the roll. I think this would, and that's parking, vacant land, all of their properties are fully tax liable. That 86 cars parked here, I think, we don't think it's the primary use. We think the vacant improved structure itself, holding that is the primary use. Parking represents, again, a small fraction of that. But even if parking were the primary use, we would treat this consistently with other Upstate Properties parcels around the town, Kennedy Square and others, all of which are.
Anything you want to add to that? No. Okay. All right. With that, then, we'll go through all of the information, and the city will send you a notice first week of April. But
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Yep, thank you.
And it's just to confirm, this is not under litigation, it just prompted on your change.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Looks like we've got a couple more properties.
No,
Oh, no, we don't. Oh, okay, very good,
Oh, yeah, you
very
guys
good.
maybe met Michael last year? He was shadowing
I
at
don't
least
know.
one day.
I don't remember.
The shadow.
did we hear from them? Michelle, you didn't get an email, or I probably should have checked.
Since, not before I got up here.
Okay.
We'll read them in, and then if I get something, I'll just reschedule them.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. We'll read them in the order that they are. All right, so these next two properties are,
And Joe, rather prior to or after, I'm going to request that we dismiss both of these with prejudice.
okay, these two that we're going to, okay, very good. These two properties, the petitioners have not shown up, so we're going to read them in, talk a little bit about them, and we'll take it from there. This will be number 16 on our list. This is 919 East Genesee Street. It is a mixed-use multifamily property with ground floor retail space composed of roughly 409 square feet, 409,000 square feet. Just to confirm some numbers. Current tentative assessment of $49,650,000 with a land value of $2,330,000. Bless you. Petitioner believes the fair market the fair market value off of that assessment is $79,440,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $4,965,000, which would be a market value, so a market value of $7,944,000, which would equate to an assessed value of $4,965,000. And let me just see if I can pick anything off of here. The petition, no, pretty standard.
Pretty thin.
Yeah. Pretty thin petition, no supporting documents, letter from the city requesting. So with that, I think, Matt, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I don't want to take unfair for the empty chair to have to argue against this, but this is one of the higher value properties in the city. It benefits, I should say, it's a 245 unit, 601 bed student apartment with ground floor retail and parking. It's one of the sort of high profile properties that benefited from the very generous 485A exemption early in the program's initiation here in Syracuse. It's in year 6, I think, of an 8-year full exemption from increase over base. So everybody should have a cheat sheet in the folder, I think.
Yep.
But the taxable value on this roll, as it has been since it was constructed, is $3,385,000. It is, from the best of what we can tell, close to fully occupied. Very, very valuable building. It was, if the 5217 submitted to our office, and of course the clerk 2 years ago is to be believed, was sold for $100 million 2 years ago. All we can go on is the grievance right here, and there's not a lot in it. We are kind of flabbergasted that this showed up over the transom earlier this month. So, given that nobody's here, despite their appearance requested by the board, we would request that this be dismissed without prejudice. With prejudice, I'm sorry.
With prejudice, and you haven't heard from anybody up to this point as far as today is concerned. dismissed with prejudice. With that, then, is this the same ownership, this next
We
property?
believe it's different. This is a property that has been in litigation for 4 years, I believe, maybe 3. But they have changed counsel this year, so they share a counsel with the apartment building.
Yeah, I'll read it.
We had fairly frequent contact with the previous attorney, have not heard from this attorney, other than the grievance.
Okay, so this, so 3023 Erie Boulevard East is in fact in litigation.
It's-
Nothing on this prior one.
No, correct.
Yeah. As far as litigation, right. At this point. Okay, let me just further read in once again, 3023 Erie Boulevard East. This is a single-tenant restaurant facility occupied by Chuck E. Cheese. Okay, so remember this as far as litigation is concerned. Some numbers. Current tentative assessed value, $1,385,900, with a land value of $242,000. That would equate to a market value of $2,217,440. 2217440. The petitioner believes the fair market value is $500,000, which would equate to an assessed value of $312,500. And this is in fact litigation for the last how many years?
I think the first year they filed was for the 20 roll. Does that sound right, John? I'm sorry, 2021, because the argument, running the risk of mischaracterizing, was simply that the pandemic shutdown uniquely affected Chuck E. Cheese, being different. They tried to pivot to takeout, but given their business model, that was difficult. The argument was that really affected the value of real estate in a way that it didn't other restaurants. So 21 definitely was the first year.
Yeah. Okay, once again, in litigation since 2021, and this petitioner did not show up. And trying to think in last year, was somebody here that represented, or?
What was that, John? He was a little more localized. Not local,
Why didn't we
regional.
address dismissal last year?
Well, John?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to, I'll have to go back in my notes, because I
Yeah.
still have last year's. Okay, neither here nor there. This petitioner did not show up. At this point, we haven't heard from them. I'm assuming if they do reach out, you'll allow them to come in while we're in session, or
I mean, at this time, I think we'll just request a dismissal with prejudice. But certainly, obviously, we're open-minded. We really would like to decide both of these on the merits, and of course, leave open Article 7 for especially Chuck E. Cheese, since we've been engaged for a few years.
notes accordingly. And that should take care of that. Michelle, any other files? That's it? Anybody, anything you want to add, or?
Appreciate everybody's time today.
Yeah, no, thank you. So with that, I will make a motion to adjourn for today.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks, board.
I'm getting better.
I'll say.
At least I know how these things work now.
About time, gee.
I know. It's only taken me 20 years. Thank you very much. calendar, the 15th and the 20th. All right. Have a great weekend.
I had a hard time staying awake today.
Yeah, I know, it's Friday. Enjoy,
It was warmer in